Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Community Works. I'm Bernadette Welsh, your host. The goal of our show is to highlight local nonprofits in our area. We love to educate you, our viewers, about the great work that's going on all around us every day by local agencies and their supporters. When people help their neighbors, everybody benefits. The focus of today's show is the work of the Diaper Bank of Connecticut. And as you might imagine from the name of this wonderful organization, their number one item is getting diapers to people who need them. But as the years have rolled by, the Diaper Bank has expanded what they do in our community. So I'm so happy to welcome my guest, the Executive Director of the Diaper Bank, Ms. Janet Stolfi-Alfano. Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here again.
Again, yes, this is not your first time.
That's right.
But there's lots more to talk about, so there's a reason why you are here again.
Yes, absolutely. Lots of change since that last time I was here.
Great. But for folks that might not know, could you start off with the mission and a little bit of the history of the Diaper Bank here in Connecticut?
Sure. So the mission of the Diaper Bank is to provide diapers, and we'll get to some of those additions, but diapers, period supplies, incontinence products, and other basic needs to families who need them in the state, and also to raise awareness about how not having access to these items impacts folks' daily lives. And then lastly, to advocate for the inclusion of diapers and other basic health essentials into the provision for and public policy around what is necessary for families.
Okay, very good. And when did the Diaper Bank get started? I know there's chapters and everything, but here in Connecticut, how did that come about?
Yep, so the Diaper Bank was founded in 2004, and back then we were known as the New Haven Diaper Bank, and changed in 2008 our name to the Diaper Bank in order to reflect really our growing distribution outside of Greater New Haven. And we started as an organization that was really grassroots, community-led by a woman by the name of Joanne Goldblum, who was a social worker and did home visits to families in New Haven and saw that so many were really missing basic essentials like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, and especially diapers. And it's something that she and a group of friends, like-minded folks who really cared about folks in the community, said, we have to do something about this. And so they gathered some funds and went to the local BJ's in North Haven and purchased a supply of diapers for, at the time, 5 agency partners. And those agency partners were really nonprofit organizations that were working with low-income families in the community already. And so it was a great way to get the diapers to the families who need them, and also really help those agencies engage with the families even more than they already were doing.
Oh, so that was the beginning of things, and
yes.
Now it is so much more.
Yes.
Well, thank you, because some people might not know.
Right.
They might not know. So many people don't understand the importance of something like diapers or other supplies. Let's talk about the babies first.
Sure.
For the well-being and health of babies. So could you explain to our viewers that connection?
Sure. So that's a great question. And in thinking about diapers, I think the first thing that, and probably most folks recognize, is that when children's diaper isn't changed appropriately, they might get a diaper rash. And that doesn't sound too terrible, but really how it can get a lot worse is if those conditions don't change. So if the mom still doesn't have enough diapers, or they aren't able to really rectify that situation, so the baby's consistently left in a wet diaper, that can get a lot worse. And then the complications from something which starts out as a simple diaper rash can really end up being quite severe. And so that's a basic physical health thing that can happen to a young child. And then there are really further complications if you think about the overall health and well-being of a family and how a mom could bond with a new child. Those first few years of life are so very important. And if you as a mom or a parent know that you cannot meet your baby's basic health needs, how is that going to impact your self-esteem as a mother, your ability to then bond with your child if you are stressed enough and have to think about how am I going to meet my baby's needs for food, for diapers, for all of these things. So there are physical and mental health implications for not having access to this very simple thing. There can be such a compounding effect.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So mothers need to feel good about all aspects of being a mom. And if you don't feel good about that, I think babies can sense it, and it can cause all kinds of issues. So I think that that's a very important thing, that being able to change the diapers, get the diapers, love and hold your child and feel good about yourself. It's just, we want to have a healthy start for our kids.
Absolutely.
That's it, because it's all about our children. Very good. Okay, so I understand that the diaper bank, and you alluded to this already, is starting to serve the community with more than just diapers. So could you explain what you are doing now? You alluded to it, but go into a little detail about services other than diapers.
Sure. So over the years, we have, again, our focus is diapers for infants and toddlers, but over the years, we've had donations of other kinds of products, like period supplies or other types of incontinence products, a little here, a little there, maybe a one-time funding for some, but nothing regular or nothing sustainable. And we had understood this from so many families reaching out to us, that these other items are certainly just as important to the physical and mental health of individuals and families. And so we worked hard to get some in-kind donations and support, particularly for period supplies. And that has really been something that has grown quite significantly over the past few years.
Getting those products to the high schools?
So a couple of different things, and you're talking about the legislation, which is wonderful, but we are actually working with our existing partners who are already giving diapers to say, we really want to help fulfill more of your family's needs, and we have period supplies available. And so, of course, if you can imagine a family who, has trouble purchasing diapers for their baby, may also be in the same boat for period supplies, because like diapers, period supplies are not covered under any, like food stamps or any other program.
And they're expensive.
And they're quite expensive. So we've been really happy to be able to offer those to the families that we serve. And that is our distribution side of the work, and that has grown tremendously over the past several years. The other piece of that is, we realize that nonprofit organizations, and we have grown certainly, but we can't do it alone.
No.
That there has to be a better mechanism, in addition to the work that we're doing, to ensure that wherever you go, you have access to the things that you need, particularly menstrual supplies. That if you're a child who's in school, or you're in college, or you're in a shelter, or you're in a jail, you're incarcerated, you need to have access to the things that you need, that your body needs to function, that keep you engaged in your daily activities in the most autonomous way that you can. You don't want to have to worry about not being able to participate in something fully because you don't have the period supplies that you need.
Yeah, you can't work.
Right.
Can't go to school.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was a coalition that was brought together by a state representative, Kate Farrar, to really think about how can we ensure that folks have access to the things that they need. And we are so excited that this collective effort caused the state of Connecticut to pass significant period legislation, which provides period supplies for folks in, through school, K through 12, through colleges, community colleges, state universities, UConn, jails and prisons, as well as shelters. And so, that's passed as of the most current legislative session, and we're going to be working with that coalition and the Department of Public Health to figure out how do we make sure that this is implemented and successful. And so we are really excited about that. And we know that that work isn't done.
Okay.
It's just the first step. And so I would say, one thing that folks can think about and do is how in your household, in your small business, in your business or nonprofit, how can you ensure that the folks who are working with you, for you, have access to the supplies that they need while they are there? because that's really the fundamental theme that we want to make sure that folks understand, is that having access to the things that you need, where you use them, where you need them, where you live and work, is really important.
Very good. And then the last thing I hear that you are doing is helping our seniors with things that they need, the depends. So that's like a third leg of the services that you do now?
Yes, actually. And along that continuum, so we're working with, again, organizations who work with adults who have incontinence issues. And one of the things over the pandemic that we heard so many times was folks in that situation where they weren't able to get the incontinence supplies that they needed in a number of different situations, whether they had, dementia, other physical ailments. We actually heard from a few folks who had a loved one in hospice care and had incontinence needs that weren't covered. And so, we were happy to provide those products to those families. And this is also something that we have been growing over the past several years. But we also know that there are opportunities for us to talk about this some more, to figure out where are the gaps in coverages for these kinds of items, and what can we do to help push that along so that it's not so hard, so that a person whose wife is, not long for this earth has to call us for the supplies that they need to make sure that their loved one is comfortable. We don't, our organization and me personally, I don't feel like that is something that anyone in that situation should have to deal with.
Well, it's about human dignity.
Absolutely.
It's whether it's moms and babies or teenagers or our seniors, to be embarrassed or confined because they can't afford these things, and then to have to be embarrassed again to have to ask.
Right.
And people don't even want to talk about it.
Right.
So I'm glad we're talking about it. It's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, but we do need to know that there are people who need these items and they shouldn't be isolated or shamed.
Right.
So I think that that's wonderful.
That's right.
That we've got diapers, we've got the period products, and we've got the incontinence supplies for our seniors.
Yes.
It's three great things. So I'm glad you've expanded from diapers. Yes, yay team.
And another growing, although we're starting out, so we're not quite to the level that we are with our other programs, is youth incontinence as well. So for folks who are older than 3, not quite ready for adult incontinence, but have developmental needs, and they have incontinence needs. And so that is also something that we were really thinking about. And again, working with partners who are working directly with families, we're learning a lot about those families and the significant expenditures that they have caring for a child with very significant health needs. So
for sure, for sure. Good. It's all about communication, isn't it, Janet?
Yes,
it's about communication, and it's also about caring.
Yes.
And it's about your organization caring, but also our viewers that are out there listening to us to care about these things as well. It's all a part of what makes communities work. So thank you, Janet, for those. Now we have 4 items that we got to talk about.
Yes.
All right, so I know we touched on it again. We've touched on it a little bit, but do diapers get delivered to families, or do social workers pick up the diapers, or the same things with the other things that you provide? There must be a mechanism for that. I know there's a warehouse here in North Haven, so maybe you could expand a little bit on how it gets there.
How we get the diapers
you
to the
gather
people.
it and how you get it out there.
Yes. So we have a warehouse. We're right on State Street. And how we work is we have a network of agencies or nonprofit partners that we distribute through across the state of Connecticut in every county. We're over 100 at this point. And they range from home visiting type programs to childcare centers, faith-based organizations,
shelters,
just really a very intentional wide range of partners. And that is because we want people to be comfortable getting the services or having the relationship with a trusted partner And so for many folks, that's, a faith-based community, or it's a local Salvation Army, or just a community-based organization. But we want to make sure that we are very intentional in that, so that we don't leave out a significant portion of the population.
And plus, you don't want, again, people to be embarrassed.
Right.
So they themselves have to show up asking for diapers.
That's right.
It's more discreet and it's kinder. And it makes sense, doesn't it, Janet?
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. And it's in conjunction with work that's already going on there. So they don't have to go to another different place to get the diapers. They're receiving services at this location. The diapers go where they're receiving the services. And so our staff, our warehouse team and delivery folks, we have a truck, so we drive to those agencies, once a month, deliver a supply of diapers, and then collect funds and diapers and other items to make sure that we have enough supply.
Excellent, excellent. So that's the distribution part.
Yes.
Okay, so volunteers. I bet you need a lot of volunteers.
We do.
And after we talk about volunteers, we're going to see a little bit of some photographs of what your wonderful volunteers do. But tell us how the volunteers help the diaper bank.
Yes, we couldn't do what we do without volunteers. We really are so grateful for the amount of volunteers that we have. The majority of our volunteers come in groups. So whether it's a youth group or a corporate group, if you're looking for an employee engagement activity or on any of those giving back days, those kinds of things, they come into our warehouse. We have a designated volunteer space. It's about 1,000 square feet for that part of that part of the work, and we do count diapers, repacking, sorting, and getting things ready for distribution. Sometimes it'll be putting a sticker on it with the size or quantity or that kind of thing. Folks really love coming because it's really a hands-on, sort of concrete, that you're being involved and engaged at the fundamental level. Like, this is going to go to a family who needs it, and you are directly helping that. So it's such a wonderful activity. And sometimes folks volunteer by doing a diaper drive or a product drive. So at their workplace or community organization or group, like a brownie troop or a church group, will have a diaper drive, and they will set it up where folks can bring the product there, or we can actually do virtual now, where we can set up kind of a diaper store, so to speak, and folks can donate and kind of purchase the amount of diapers that they wish to donate. So there's really a lot of ways that volunteers can have an impact on the organization.
Very good. So hopefully, if people out there are thinking about something that they might like to do, well, here's something you could do. You can volunteer for the diaper bank.
Yes.
Oh, that's great, Janet. So now let's take a look at some photographs. We're going to go through them and see if we can get that up on the screen. Janet, what are we looking at here?
So this is a great example of one of our repacking events. And so you see a group of folks there who are counting, sorting, and repacking diapers. And it's such a fun activity. And usually folks will come for a few hours and get a bunch of diapers repacked for us to get ready for distribution. And we always say when folks come, they're like a little bit overwhelmed as to how are we going to do this. I have a 7-minute rule. Usually by the time they've been working for 7 minutes, they've got it down.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, what else are we going to see? And what is this?
So this is a group from UPS, which is right across the street from us, but some employees who came and did a small repacking event at our location as part of a workplace employee engagement activity.
Great.
So it's a great way, again, for those employees, big or small, who are looking to have some employees volunteer. We have a lot of opportunities for that.
Love it, love it. And oh, look at this. I think I know some of the ladies in that photo, but
so it's not all of my staff, not all of the team, but some. And we held a period prom in celebration of the passage of the menstrual equity bill. We really wanted, we certainly are busy and don't often take the time to celebrate the work, and my team did such a fantastic job. We wanted to make sure that we honored it.
Good for you.
So we did that. So yes,
good.
We're usually not dressed that fancy in our
office. Oh, that's okay. They all look fabulous. And then this is your warehouse, is it not?
This is the warehouse, and this is one of my team members moving some of our product around. We probably just got a truckload coming in. So
very good,
yeah.
Very good. And there's a closer
again,
view.
Yes, up front, up close.
I love it. Okay, very good. And what's this?
Yep, so this is an event at a corporation, did their own diaper drive and had some of our team come just to talk about the work and talk to the employees.
Very good. Looks like they did a nice job.
They did.
And
another group of volunteers.
Love it. They're all dressed the same.
Yep,
I love that.
I think that was a group from Liberty Bank.
Okay.
But yeah, your corporate group, your employee group, it's such a wonderful activity and opportunity for folks to see what's going on in the community.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about the advocacy work, but I think maybe you could give us just a little taste of how, do you go to the Connecticut legislature? Do you partner with legislators? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and certainly it's changed over the past few years because of COVID. And we've done it a lot of different ways. Certainly pre-COVID, we were up at the Capitol, whether it's, fighting for funding to make sure that we can meet diaper need that exists in the state, and certainly expand that. But really, this over the past few years, it's been over Zoom, which is interesting in a number of different ways. It's been really helpful, and we've been able to engage with many more state legislators, I think, than we would have had we been up at the Capitol, because our time certainly is limited in our ability to do that. So that part was really, I think, efficient. We were able to, with our team, convene a virtual advocacy and lobby day. And so that we had young people participating, and it was maybe their first time in participating in any kind of advocacy. So that was a wonderful experience, certainly. So really, any and all ways that we could engage with the legislators and also the public at large, so that they had an understanding of how important this issue is, certainly to us, but especially to young people who really, really pushed for this legislation.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get a few more things in before we run out of time. We talked about how folks support the diaper bank.
Yes.
I know there's a website. We're going to put up your information so people could see it.
Great.
But you could just enumerate quickly some of the things that they could bring: diapers, bring money.
Yes,
bring
all of
supplies.
the above. Right, all of the above. Right. So we take obviously donations of funds. We can make our dollars stretch farther because we're purchasing in bulk.
Yes.
So we're buying by the semi-tractor trailers worth, which is about between 250,000 and 300,000 diapers.
Wow.
In a truckload. But also we understand, folks like to give product, and we absolutely accept that. We accept diapers, period supplies, incontinence supplies, absolutely, because we know that we can get it to families who need it.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So anybody wants to go and bring some stuff, that's great. But bring money. Come on. Money goes so far. Janet just explained it. When you buy things in bulk, you get more you get more bang for the buck.
Absolutely.
So think about volunteering like that. And if you don't want to do the volunteering, just give some money, give some product.
Yes.
It's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you about that.
Thank you.
Are you planning any events, future events that our viewers might want to know about?
Yeah. So we are, stay tuned. We are working on something for the fall that we're hopeful to announce soon. But definitely check our website for updates on that, because we will have them very soon.
Great. So maybe we could see what that information looks like. There we go. I'm liking it. The Diaper Bank of Connecticut. There's the name. The website, www.thediaperbank.org.
Yes.
You can email info@thediaperbank.org, and your emails will be answered by dedicated staff. And there's that phone number, 203-934-7009.
Yes.
So lots of ways to connect.
Lots of ways.
Lots of ways to connect. And of course, watching this program, you're connecting by watching the program.
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to share with us some special story about something recently that happened through the auspices of the Diaper Bank that touched your heart?
Sure. Well, I think folks are pretty well aware of the formula shortage that has been impacting folks across the country and possibly the world, but particularly in the United States. And we had been called upon to help out with that, because certainly it's such a basic need. And you can understand, for the families that we serve, they are impacted even more by something like this, because they don't have the resources to be traveling around, from store to store to look for the specific formula that their baby uses. And maybe they can go online, but we know that there was some, price gouging for folks who had some of these products, or purchasing and reselling on other sites. And so we participated in a roundtable with moms who were experiencing this exact issue. And I will say that it was heartbreaking. That's really an understatement. To understand what these families were going through, and the fact that so many of them had actually had some of the recalled formula.
Wow.
And that some had children who were very ill, and that, making sure that families have the things that they need, that the safety of the families and children should be our highest priority, and that anything that we can do to help, we have to do.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that is very important. The whole idea of not being, it all centers around childhood and infancy.
Right.
You can't diaper your baby, you can't feed your baby. It's really all connected.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you folks are seeing the connection and making a difference is really some of the remarkable things that the organization is doing, and that's just super terrific, super terrific.
Thank you.
All right, so we talked a little bit how COVID affected things. I think we around that with Zoom and not letting the communication with your partners go away just because you couldn't do things. It certainly affected your fundraising. I remember going to galas and that, had to kind of go away. But, where there is a community need, organizations find a way, don't they?
Yes. And certainly in the beginning stages of COVID, when there was so much uncertainty, some of our partners were closing down.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if they were going to be able to take donations. For those, we geared up right away to actually give double orders to partners. We actually worked with some partners who couldn't access their building, but the case manager took the diapers at home and drove to the families' homes to distribute. Wow. I mean, really, our partners were incredible, and I'm so grateful that they were so creative and allowed some of that, to happen. And we know that the families who maybe were already a little isolated because they had newborns and needed some help, COVID certainly made that worse. So having that, connection to a provider or to someone who is trusted was really important.
Excellent. I wish we had more time. Yes. I wish we could talk about this even more. But, well, viewers, I think you've learned a lot today. I know I have, about the importance of the diaper bank right here in North Haven. We learned about getting diapers and period supplies and continence things, and reaching out to moms with the formula issues, and just restoring a woman's dignity, a family's dignity, in this crazy world we live in. So thank you for watching Community Works. Thank you, Janet, for being my guest and talking about the diaper bank here. And we'll hope to see you again real soon. And do remember, when people help their neighbors, everybody benefits. Thank you.